They called him weak until a mysterious system chose him. Now he copies any ability in 1 second and uses it better than its owner. Students laughed. Teachers doubted. But when the system activated, the academy realized a copy monster was born. A spar was going on between 2 students. One punch landed hard and the one on the receiving end sucked in a breath, complaining, "That hurt like hell!" He laughed it off, saying, "Suhong's Vajra fist has clearly improved again. Have you already stepped into the micro level?" Suhong stayed calm and replied, "I only broke through to micro level 2 days ago." In this world, martial arts were divided into ranks: basic, proficient, micro level, mastered, and perfect. Reaching micro level already put someone ahead of most peers. The other student couldn't help admiring him, saying, "Just based on Vajra fist alone, no one else in our class can compare." He then asked, "Are you done resting so we can continue practicing?" But the pain from that single punch was still lingering. He waved him off, calling him a cultivation maniac, and said, "I'm heading home to eat." Before leaving, he politely bade farewell, saying, "Goodbye, Teacher Lee." Teacher Lee reminded him, saying, "Straighten your clothes before going." Then he turned to Suhong and finally caught him, asking, "Why haven't you paid the 30,000 registration fee for the martial arts department yet? Applications are closing next month." Suhong hesitated and asked quietly, "Can you give me a few more days?" Teacher Lee sighed and said, "I understand your family situation, but rules are rules. There's nothing I can do." After everyone else left, Suhong stayed behind, continuing to practice alone. No matter how many times he repeated his forms, one thought kept circling in his mind: the 30,000 registration fee. His memories drifted back. When he was 3, his parents had died during a ferocious beast disaster. Since then, he had lived with his uncle and aunt. After discovering his talent for martial arts, they had done everything they could to support his training. In an era where ferocious beasts roamed freely, martial artists earned good money. He had trained to give them a better life. Yet now, it felt like he was only making things harder for them. Later, in a quiet corner, he returned to the cramped, worn-down place he called home. He asked softly, "Is the rent almost due? How much are we still short?" His uncle's voice answered first, saying, "The rent can wait. Little Hong's registration fee should be paid first." His aunt followed gently, saying, "With talent like his, Suhong is sure to succeed one day. We can't afford to hold him back." Then she added almost casually, "I'll stop taking my medicine. It isn't curing me anyway, and it'll save money." His uncle immediately objected, saying, "No, I'll just take another job instead. You stay home, rest properly, and focus on your health. Everything else will work out." Hearing all of this from the shadows, Suhong felt a tight ache in his chest. Sadness quietly washed over him. He couldn't help thinking, this is a stupid, messed up world. It had twisted his life into something he could barely recognize. Everywhere he looked, people were greedy. If someone simply wanted to register for something they were talented at, they still had to pay money for it. Money he had no talent for earning. He thought bitterly, if I were good at making money, I probably wouldn't have talent for martial arts at all. The more he thought about it, the crazier the world felt. Pushing those thoughts aside, he opened the door and called out, "I'm back." His aunt, who treated him like her own son, immediately fussed over him, asking, "Why did you practice so late again? You must be exhausted." Suhong tried to take over the chores, saying, "Let me handle it." She waved him off and replied, "It's nothing. Go rest so you won't be tired tomorrow." His uncle supported her, saying, "Listen to her and go rest quickly." Suhong returned to his room, but sleep refused to come. He lay there wide awake, his thoughts running in circles. His uncle and aunt had already sacrificed so much for him. He thought firmly, I can't keep letting this happen. This time I'll solve my own problem. For a martial artist to earn tens of thousands in just a few days, there was only one place that came to mind. The very next day, a loud announcement echoed through the streets. The announcer shouted, "Audience friends, welcome to the Martial Apprentice Arena Challenge. Here, only victory or defeat matters, regardless of life or death." It was the underground martial arena. The announcer continued loudly, saying, "Let me introduce today's ring defender, Mr. Minotaur. If he wins 4 matches in a row, he'll walk away with 60,000 in prize money. If he loses, he gets nothing." The crowd immediately erupted in whispers. Some spectators muttered, "No one recognizes him." Others scoffed, saying, "A newcomer jumping straight into the arena challenge is basically courting death." Off to the side, the announcer leaned over and told him, "Show some passion. Heat up the atmosphere." Minotaur looked confused and asked, "How am I supposed to do that?" The announcer sighed and replied, "Provoke the crowd crowd, curse a little. This is why rookies are such a headache. Realization dawned on Minotaur. Letting out a roar, he shouted, "Below the level of a martial artist, I am invincible. All weaklings, come fight me." The crowd exploded instantly. Some cursed him, shouting, "He's absurdly arrogant." Others laughed and praised his guts. The atmosphere instantly boiled over. Someone sneered, saying, "This guy won't even know how he dies later." That only fueled the chaos. Cheers erupted from every direction. Some people shouted for blood, others yelled insults at the so-called Minotaur. With the atmosphere reaching its peak, the announcer declared, "The match has officially begun." Behind the Minotaur mask, Su-hong remained calm. He could clearly feel the heavy killing intent unique to the underground arena. Still, this was the fastest way to gather enough tuition money. He thought confidently, "As long as I win a few rounds with my Vajra fist, it'll be worth it." His first opponent stepped forward, calling him an arrogant brat and saying, "I'll play with you for a bit." Su-hong barely paid attention. His eyes calmly sized the man up. The opponent's momentum was strong, but his footing was unstable. He concluded silently, "Winning won't be difficult." Seeing him distracted, the opponent cursed and charged forward with a punch. Su-hong sidestepped cleanly, then casually swung his other hand. The strike landed squarely on the man's jaw, sending him flying back to where he came from. The announcer instantly lost her composure, shouting excitedly, "Minotaur has taken his first win!" Laughing into the microphone, she added jokingly, "I might want to ask this masked fighter out someday." The crowd exploded with cheers. A second challenger stepped up, scoffing, "The last guy was just unlucky. Things will be different this time." Su-hong calmly replied, "Please." While judging his opponent, he thought, "Based on his build, his strength should be decent, perfect for testing my Vajra fist." The man shouted and leapt forward with a heavy punch. Su-hong met it head-on. With a single Vajra fist strike, he shattered the incoming force. The opponent cried out in shock, shouting, "What terrifying power!" Su-hong analyzed calmly. "Strong, but still weaker than me." After blocking the counterattack, the opponent relied too much on his upper body, leaving his waist wide open. Su-hong followed with a brutal kick, sending him flying off the stage just like the first challenger. The arena went wild. Some people cursed in disbelief, shouting, "He's insanely strong!" The announcer excitedly declared, "Minotaur has achieved 2 consecutive wins." The cheers grew louder, almost deafening. In a quieter corner, several well-dressed spectators observed carefully. One of them muttered, "The kid isn't even a quasi-martial artist, yet his strength surpasses the average." Another nodded and said, "There's no doubt, he's unusual." The announcer's voice rang out again, declaring, "Minotaur has secured his 3rd consecutive win." In the viewing area, one of the men commented, "He's better than the worst, but nowhere near the best. Someone like him is perfect material for match fixing." From behind him, a masked young man spoke, saying, "I'll handle it." The older man warned him, saying, "Don't reveal that you've already broken through to martial artist level." After racking up so many wins, Su-hong felt increasingly confident. Ordinary martial apprentices were no longer a challenge to him. He thought determinedly, "With my Vajra fist at the micro level, one more win will earn me the full 60,000. Suddenly, the crowd stirred loudly. People began shouting, "White Fox is stepping into the ring!" The moment the masked fighter appeared, the arena erupted. Some spectators exclaimed, "White Fox is a quasi-martial artist!" Others protested angrily, shouting, "A quasi-martial artist fighting a martial apprentice is basically cheating!" Su-hong's heart sank slightly. A quasi-martial artist. This match was going to be troublesome. Still, backing down wasn't an option. He couldn't afford to lose now. White Fox stopped in front of him and studied him calmly before saying, "Don't be afraid. I know how to hold back." The announcer's voice suddenly rang out again. "This is the final match of the arena challenge. Begin!" Both fighters exploded forward at full speed. Su-hong immediately sensed the gap between their realms. His cultivation was lower, so he had no choice but to go all out from the start. His punch blasted forward, sending visible shockwaves rippling through the air. Their fists collided violently. The entire ring trembled from the impact. The moment their fists met, Su-hong's heart skipped. Something was wrong. His opponent wasn't a quasi-martial artist at all. He was a true martial artist who had deliberately suppressed his vitality. A surge of tension washed over him. He had never expected a monster like this to appear out of nowhere. nowhere. White Fox inhaled sharply and launched another attack, unleashing Thunder Rush Fist. One strike followed another in rapid succession. Each blow was heavier than the last. Under the relentless assault, Su Hong was forced backward as pain spread throughout his body. So this is the strength of a real martial artist, he thought. The crowd was stunned. Someone shouted, "That's the 3-echo Thunder Rush Fist." Another person yelled, "No one expected to see that move here." Others shook their heads and said, "The Minotaur is finished." To them, the outcome was already obvious. Yet White Fox showed no intention of stopping. His attacks continued without mercy. After a while, White Fox grew bored and said, "Only defending is pointless. Fight back. I want to see your real strength." For now, Minotaur could do nothing but block. Even through his defenses, every punch tore into him. If this continues, I'll definitely lose, he realized. He needed a chance to counterattack, but White Fox's strikes were too fast, too relentless. Then suddenly, White Fox found an opening. His punch shot straight toward Minotaur's jaw. The impact sent him flying across the ring before crashing heavily onto the ground. His vision blurred. His consciousness began to fade. Before he could recover, White Fox stepped forward and said calmly, "You won't get a single coin from this match." Then he added, "But my teacher is willing to invite you. If you agree to fix matches for us in the future, we'll pay you the same as this prize money." Even with White Fox's foot pressing down on his face, Minotaur answered without hesitation, "I will never do something that shameless." White Fox froze for a moment, clearly surprised by the rejection. Regaining his composure, he said coldly, "Think carefully. Refusing us comes with a price you can't afford." Minotaur shot back, "People who do things like this, do they really deserve to call themselves martial artists?" That was the final straw. White Fox said coldly, "Then there's nothing left to discuss." As he turned to leave, he added, "If you won't cooperate, I'll cripple you. You can forget about ever becoming a martial artist." As White Fox moved to shatter his leg, those words echoed sharply in Minotaur's mind. Become a martial artist. Instinct exploded within him. At the last second, he twisted his body and barely avoided the blow. He couldn't afford to be crippled. Forcing himself back up, Minotaur stepped forward again. White Fox stared in shock as Minotaur steadied himself, his eyes burning with determination. "I can't fall here. Not here." Something snapped inside him. A second wind surged through his battered body. White Fox frowned in disbelief. He had clearly landed Thunder Rush Fist earlier, yet this man was still standing. Inside his heart, Su Hong remained painfully clear-headed. He wanted to become a martial artist. He couldn't let his uncle and aunt's sacrifices go to waste. He wanted to give them a better life. But did that mean abandoning everything a martial artist stood for? The answer came instantly. No, never. At that exact moment, something strange happened. A translucent status window appeared before his eyes. Cold, emotionless text floated across it, asking, "What are you willing to sacrifice for your future and your faith?" Su Hong answered without hesitation, "Everything." The notification asked again, "Are you truly willing to pay the price?" Minotaur answered again, "Everything." The moment the word left his mouth, something inside him changed. His shadow twisted and stretched across the ground, slowly forming the outline of a terrifying monster. Su Hong was stunned. He didn't know where this place was, and the shadow behind him belonged to an unknown, massive existence. Before he could react, the entity spoke. "I will give you this chance." An unfamiliar aura wrapped around him. Another translucent window appeared, displaying his attributes. Name, Su Hong Vitality, 85. Spirit, 23. Physique, Mortal Body. Martial Skills, Vajra Fist, Micro Level. 7% Floating Light Palm, Proficient. 35% Void Step, Proficient. 56%. Martial Value, 0. Su Hong stared in disbelief. On impulse, he reached forward and touched the mission section. A new notification appeared. Random mission, Way of the Arena. Mission description: the road to becoming a powerhouse is filled with thorns. Player, polish your martial arts here and defeat White Fox in the outside world. Objectives: raise Vajra Fist to mastered level. Raise Floating Light Palm and Void Step to micro level. Mission reward: beginner's guide. Before he could react, a fist shot straight toward his face. Su Hong instinctively ducked. When he looked up, he froze. Standing before him was someone who looked exactly like him. The clone attacked using Vajra Fist with flawless precision. Every movement was perfect, like a living textbook. Su Hong immediately realized, this isn't just a fight, it's a demonstration. As he he clashed with the clone, he suddenly noticed something. His Vajra fist proficiency increased. 7%, 10%. The growth was terrifyingly fast. This place lets me rapidly upgrade my martial skills. He continued fighting, learning, and adapting. His proficiency climbed higher and higher, until finally it reached 100%. Floating light palm reached full mastery. With a single strike, he blasted the clone away. Void step followed, reaching full proficiency. Even Vajra fist reached perfection. Exhaustion finally hit him. Breathing heavily, he straightened up and said sincerely, "Thank you." A notification appeared. "Mission complete. Way of the arena. Rewards have been issued. Return to reality?" Su-hong answered immediately, "Yes." In the next instant, he returned to the arena, still wearing the Minotaur mask, standing before White Fox. White Fox sneered and rushed forward. Still pretending to be mysterious? He unleashed Thunder Rush Fist again, but this time, everything was different. Minotaur said calmly, "Too slow." He slipped past every strike effortlessly. Before White Fox could react, a fist slammed into his face. The impact shattered his mask and sent him crashing to the ground. The entire arena froze. The crowd stared in disbelief. Minotaur stood tall, while White Fox lay unconscious at his feet. Minotaur asked calmly, "When will I receive the prize money? I believe I've won the 4th match." The announcer stammered in shock before the system announcement echoed, "Minotaur is officially the winner! He has successfully defended the ring and earned the grand prize of 60,000. Among the audience, a teacher's expression darkened. Vajra fist, at the mastered level. How could a mere martial apprentice possibly reach that level? Even most true martial artists can't achieve it. Realizing something was wrong, he quietly ordered his people, "Follow Minotaur and investigate his true identity." They immediately acknowledged the command. After leaving the arena, Su-hong quickly sensed that he was being followed. The moment they closed in, he burst into motion. His speed exploded as he vanished from their sight. The pursuers stopped in confusion. Where did he go? But they knew they couldn't give up. The boss wanted answers. Hidden safely in the shadows, Su-hong sneered inwardly at their attempt to track him. An hour later, he had already returned home. When his aunt and uncle saw the large pile of money he brought back, they were completely stunned. His uncle half joked, "Did you rob a bank or something? Where did all this money come from?" Su-hong replied casually, "I've been working as a sparring partner at a dojo. The master liked my talent, so he decided to sponsor my martial arts studies." His uncle frowned slightly and asked, "Isn't that the same dojo you complained about before? The stingy one?" Su-hong simply looked at them and asked quietly, "Do you still not trust me?" Faced with his serious expression, both of them suddenly smiled. His uncle laughed warmly. "Of course we trust you. Our little Hong would never lie to us." His aunt nodded happily. "Our little Hong definitely has a bright future ahead." The two of them were so happy, they didn't even know how to properly express it. Later that night, Su-hong climbed onto the rooftop alone. Sitting beneath the quiet sky, he looked up at the bright, beautiful moon. It was one of those moments where a boy slowly turned into a man. He reviewed everything in his mind. The martial arts exam registration fee was paid, the rent was settled. Even his aunt's medical expenses were no longer urgent. Thinking about it, he couldn't help laughing in relief. Calling up the system interface, he muttered, "Turning danger into safety." That was all thanks to this mysterious system. Looking closer, he noticed something. Aside from his martial skill levels, his other stats hadn't changed much. His eyes stopped at one specific stat, martial value. A new notification appeared. Defeated higher-level opponent, reward 57 martial value points. Martial value can be used to increase vitality and martial skills. Please use carefully. Su-hong smiled slightly. Let's try it. The moment he added points into vitality, a scorching energy exploded through his body like flames roaring through his veins. He quickly checked his stats. Vitality 90. That was already the level of a quasi-martial artist. Without hesitation, he poured all remaining points into vitality. The number kept rising. With every increase, his strength became more obvious. His body felt lighter, stronger, more alive than ever. Under the moonlight, Su-hong clenched his fists. This is only the beginning. After calming down, he noticed something else. His wounds had almost completely healed. His entire body brimmed with power. With energy to spare, he suddenly felt the urge to test his strength. Leaping across rooftops, he quickly thought of the perfect place. The school drill ground. It has a combat power tester. Soon, he arrived at Star City No. 1 High School's outdoor drill ground. The area was silent. A lone Tier 1 combat power tester stood in the darkness. Gathering his blazing vitality, Su-hong rolled his shoulders. "I'll hold back. 70% should be enough." His fist struck the machine. Boom! The impact echoed sharply. For a split second, his heart jumped at how heavy the punch felt. Then, the tester sparked and completely shut down. Su-hong stared at it, stunned. "The quality of this thing is awful." Then panic hit him. "Wait, are they going to make me pay for this?" Deciding not to stay, he immediately turned to leave. Just then, a voice shouted from behind, "Who's making noise in the middle of the night?" Su-hong didn't even turn around. He ran. Moments later, a furious caretaker rushed over and saw the destroyed machine. "What bastard did this?" Grinding his teeth, he growled, "It must be those two troublemakers, Chun-shan and Luo. I'll deal with them once school starts." The next day, Star City No. 1. High school's gymnasium was packed. Students filled the area wall to wall. Su-hong stood quietly among them. While waiting, he overheard someone say, "Did you hear? Chun-shan got punished." Su-hong blinked in surprise. "What happened?" Someone answered, "He smashed the combat tester last night and refused to admit it. The principal punished him immediately." Su-hong felt extremely awkward. So, someone else took the blame. At the same time, he felt relieved. If they had caught him, he would never have been able to pay for it. Suddenly, the announcer's voice echoed across the gym. "Quiet down, everyone. We have invited an old comrade of mine, a Tier 3 martial artist, Chanshin. He will teach a C-rank martial art, Thunder Rush Fist." The gym instantly exploded with excitement. Tier 3 martial artist? C-rank martial arts cost hundreds of thousands outside. But the moment Su-hong heard the name, his eyes lit up. Thunder Rush Fist. That was the exact technique White Fox had used in the underground arena. One punch, producing the impact of 3. Its power was undeniable. "There's no way I'm missing this chance." Chanshin stepped forward and said calmly, "I will demonstrate this technique 10 times. How much you learn depends entirely on you." He adjusted his stance. Thunder Rush Fist. His punch exploded forward. The momentum was overwhelming. The gym echoed with thunder. While demonstrating, he explained, "Basic level produces 1 thunderclap. Proficient level produces 3. Micro level produces 5. Mastered level produces 7. That is my current realm." He finished the demonstration. 7 thunderous echoes exploded across the gym. The air itself trembled. After regulating his breathing, he added, "At the perfect realm, 1 strike produces 9 thunder sounds. But don't aim too high. If you grasp the basics today, that's already good." He began the second demonstration. Students rushed to imitate him. Battle cries echoed awkwardly as they struggled to copy the technique. Hours passed. Students collapsed, one by one. "I can't understand this at all. I'm exhausted." A few stubborn students continued training, despite their bodies screaming in pain. One of Su-hong's friends wiped his sweat and sighed. C-rank martial arts are impossible to learn. Then he suddenly looked around. "Wait, where's Su-hong?" For a moment, he wondered, did he already learn it? Suddenly, excited laughter erupted nearby. "I did it! I reached basic level!" The friend turned and saw Chun-shan standing proudly. Jealousy immediately filled the crowd. "No wonder he's called a genius." The principal stepped forward proudly. "This is our school's #1 genius, Chun-shan." Turning to Chanshin, he asked, "Would you be interested in guiding him further?" Students surrounded Chun-shan, showering him with praise. "True prodigy, a monster talent." Chanshin, however, remained unimpressed. "This barely counts as genius. In other cities, this is just average." They walked outside while talking. Chanshin sighed. "This batch of students is disappointing. The trip feels pointless." Deep down, he suspected the school accepted too many wealthy students instead of talented ones. Still, he comforted himself, thinking, at least one reached basic level, and the payment was good. Out loud, he asked, "Did you really expect to find a top-tier genius here?" The principal sighed. "Martial cultivation is cruel. Talent is everything. Hard work alone isn't enough." Just then, then, a sound echoed through the air. Both of them froze. Then they snapped their heads toward the source. Boom! Boom! 7 consecutive thunderous echoes. 7 sound thunder rush fist. Their faces changed instantly. They exclaimed in disbelief, asking how the school could possibly have someone capable of that level. The principal was even more stunned. He said, "That's impossible. I've never heard of such a person in the school." Only then did the principal realize something else. He didn't even recognize that student. After all, the kid hadn't paid a single extra fee. His gaze fixed on the clothes, and his heart skipped. That uniform clearly marked him as a student. The shock hit hard. If things had gone his way, this student probably wouldn't have even qualified to attend the lesson. And yet, even Chintion was stunned. He muttered, "I've only taught for half a day, yet someone has already reached the mastered level." The principal's mind went blank. He asked, "Did I hear wrong? 9 sounds? Was that really 9 sounds?" Chunyan couldn't even speak. He stood there in silence, emotions surging so hard he felt like crying. The principal wasn't much better off. He had never imagined that someone without money could possess such terrifying talent. Seeing Chunyan frozen in place, the principal asked, "What's wrong with you?" Chunyan finally exhaled and said, "I understand now. Everything makes sense." Without another word, he adjusted his stance and threw out a thunder rush fist of his own. The air exploded. 8 thunderous sounds rang out. The principal nearly jumped. It sounded like Chunyan had broken through. Chunyan stared at his own fist, excitement flashing across his face. He said, "Seeing that thunder rush fist just now gave me the inspiration I've been missing all these years. Without it, I might never have broken through in this lifetime." But then reality hit. This was not the time to celebrate. Chunyan urgently told the principal, "Hurry and find that student." The principal snapped out of it and actually started running. Unfortunately, by the time they reached the spot, the person was already gone. As for Su Hong, he had already achieved what he came for. While moving away, he reflected that cultivating a kank martial art was far more exhausting than the dank Vajra fist. His thunder rush fist had already reached the perfect realm. Now, the next step was figuring out how to earn more martial value points and push through to become a true martial artist as soon as possible. A life-and-death fight like the underground arena wasn't an option every time. If he could gain martial value through normal sparring, that would be much better. Not long after, he arrived at his workplace, the Raising Thunder Dojo. This was the place. Inside, students were training as usual. When they saw him, someone asked, "Why did you show up today?" Su Hong casually replied, "Nothing much was going on. I just came by to practice." Just then, a loud thud echoed across the hall. A student was sent crashing to the ground. Standing over him, another guy sneered and said, "If you dare claim my teacher teaches poorly, you should first admit your own lack of comprehension instead of making excuses." Su Hong glanced over and asked, "What's going on over there?" Someone nearby explained, "You haven't been around much lately, so you don't know what's happening. That student's teacher is a newly arrived instructor. He's extremely strong, but he looks down on ordinary people like us and teaches in a very perfunctory way," he continued. "On top of that, his disciple, a guy named Lei Yen, is also extremely strong." Right as they were talking, another student was knocked to the ground. Lin looked down at him and sneered, "With this level, you actually dared to challenge me?" Before things could get worse, Su Hong stepped in and grabbed Lian's wrist. He said, "That's enough." Lian immediately glared at him and demanded, "Who are you? If you have the guts, let go." Lin continued, "We can settle this properly in the arena, one-on-one." Su Hong didn't back down and calmly agreed. "All right." At that moment, a voice cut in and asked, "What's all this noise about? Class is about to start." Lin withdrew his hand and sneered, "You're lucky this time." Watching him leave, Su Hong couldn't help thinking that this guy was far too arrogant. Soon after, the instructor spoke up and announced, "Today is the last day I will be teaching the Raging Sea Spear technique. As usual, I will only demonstrate it once." As he took his stance, the instructor clearly didn't believe anyone could learn it from a single demonstration. Still, Su Hong watched with intense focus. For him, once was enough. His eyes locked onto every movement as the spear swept through the air. When the demonstration ended, the instructor turned to leave and said, "How much you learn depends entirely on yourselves." Complaints immediately broke out. Some students cursed and said, "A one-time demonstration is a scam." Others complained, "People in the back row couldn't even see clearly." Su Hong, however, had already grasped the essence. The spear moved like a flood dragon trampling the sea, its momentum rolling forward like endless waves. Taking up a spear himself, he began to move, perfectly replicating what he had just seen. For a moment, everyone fell silent. Then, the exclamations erupted. People shouted, "He actually learned it!" Others muttered, "This is the first time I've ever seen such a martial arts prodigy." Some bitterly wondered, "Are we just too stupid to comprehend it?" Drawn by the noise, Lian returned and asked, "Who supposedly learned the technique?" Then he saw Su Hong. Watching Su Hong's spear flow smoothly, Lin's eyes narrowed. He muttered, "It really looks like he grasped it." Interest sparked in his mind. Testing someone like this would be fun. Stepping forward, Lin called out, "Let me give you a few pointers on your spear technique." Lian snorted, grabbed his spear, twirled it, and pointed the tip toward Su Hong, clearly telling him to come on. He repeated, "I'll give you a few pointers." Su Hong simply agreed. "All right." Someone nearby hurriedly tried to stop him and warned, "Even though Lian's character is terrible, his strength is genuinely high. You shouldn't act impulsively." Su Hong smiled and said, "Don't worry." He stepped forward, picked up his own spear, and settled into position. Facing Li Yan, he politely said, "I look forward to being enlightened." That single sentence completely set Lin off. He snapped, "You're being arrogant. I'll show you the Raging Sea Spear technique at the micro level." Su Hong remained calm. As he moved his spear, he quietly adjusted his control, deliberately suppressing it in his mind. Proficient level, he had no intention of revealing everything. He only wanted the guy in front of him to clearly understand just how ridiculous he was being. The moment Su Hong's spear moved, Lin froze. That flow, that momentum, it was unmistakable. Proficient level. Raging Sea Spear technique. But no matter how hard he tried, reality refused to change. As the technique reached the proficient level, Su Hong's movements flowed like surging tides. The moment he executed the form, the opponent froze in disbelief. He muttered internally, "Impossible. A mere martial apprentice. Someone who isn't even a true martial artist yet reached this level." That was something even many seasoned practitioners couldn't achieve. Yet the scene before him was undeniably real. A system notification flashed before Su Hong's eyes. Defeated a higher-level opponent. Martial value plus 35. Su Hong thought, so it really works. Ordinary sparring can also grant martial value. That meant he didn't need to constantly risk his life. He could steadily grow stronger through proper combat. Meanwhile, the opponent's mind was in complete chaos. He thought, impossible, absolutely impossible. I trained for years, yet he reached this level in such a short time. Then what was the point of all my effort? The disbelief crushed him. Before things could escalate further, Su Hong calmly withdrew his spear and said, "That's enough." At that moment, the instructor arrived. Seeing the situation, he immediately stepped in and reprimanded the disciple. When the young man tried to protest, the instructor's expression turned cold, and he slapped him across the face. He scolded, "If you can't even face your own failure, what kind of martial artist do you think you are?" Many onlookers felt a strange sense of satisfaction at the sight. The disciple had always been arrogant, and seeing him humbled felt almost refreshing. Still, the instructor's gaze soon shifted to Su Hong, filled with disbelief. He said slowly, "Your talent is frightening. This boy may be arrogant, but meeting someone like you is also a form of fortune for him." He then cupped his hand slightly towards Su Hong and said, "Little brother, my disciple's behavior reflects my failure to teach properly. Please forgive us." Su Hong was momentarily stunned. He thought to himself, "This guy switches faces faster than flipping a page." As he left the training grounds, fatigue finally caught up with him, but it was a satisfying kind of exhaustion. He had gained far more than expected today. Not only had he mastered the Thunder Rush Fist and the Raging Sea Spear technique, but he had also earned a considerable amount of martial value. Walking through the campus of Star City No. 1 High School, he quietly reviewed everything in his mind. The entrance examination was coming soon. The wealthy students were already preparing high-grade alloy weapons. If he wanted to compete, he needed one too. The feel of the spear still lingered in his hands. He decided firmly, "I'll use a spear from now on." He needed needed to find himself a proper alloy spear, and fast. He realized the little money he had wasn't even enough to cover his aunt's medical expenses, let alone buy an alloy weapon that cost nearly 70,000. Still, he refused to give up. There had to be another way. Just then, an announcement echoed through the city, stating that ferocious beasts were appearing more frequently in the wilderness, and that the city lord was recruiting martial artists to hunt them, offering generous rewards. Hearing this, Su-hong immediately understood this was the opportunity he had been waiting for. Later, when he returned home, his aunt was still busy as always. She told him gently, "You shouldn't be working so hard. You already gave us money not long ago." His uncle shook his head and said firmly, "As long as I can still work, I won't rely on Su-hong. I'll earn what I can myself." When Su-hong entered, they greeted him warmly. He told them reassuringly, "You should rest and let me handle things. I can make money now." His uncle laughed and replied, "That sounds nice, but I can't just sit idle. I'll still earn a little for daily expenses." His aunt smiled and added, "We need to save as much as possible, so you can focus on cultivating in the future." Hearing this, Su-hong felt a tight ache in his chest. His uncle and aunt had lived frugally for so long. Unless he could truly earn enough for them to live without worry, they would never stop pushing themselves. That night, standing on the rooftop, he opened his status panel again. He knew the wilderness was dangerous, and if he wanted to go there safely, he needed more strength. He decided silently to invest everything he had into improving himself. As he poured his remaining martial value into vitality, a powerful sensation surged through his body. His blood roared, his muscles tightened, his aura grew denser and more oppressive with every increase. The number continued to rise until it finally stopped at 95.2. Standing beneath the night sky, Su-hong could feel the power coursing through him. His presence alone now carried the faint pressure of a ferocious beast ready to be unleashed. Su-hong noted quietly, his vitality had reached 95.2, just one small step away from truly becoming a martial artist. 2 days later, late at night, he lay on the floor of the training hall, completely exhausted. Every part of his body ached, but his eyes burned brightly. His martial skills had all reached completion. Thunder Rush Fist, Raging Sea Spear, Vajra Fist, Floating Light Palm, all perfected. He released a long breath and muttered with satisfaction, "I finally did it." 2 full days of non-stop cultivation had paid off. Now, it was time to move forward. The next morning, he headed toward the Star City martial artist base. When he arrived, he paused in amazement, even though he had seen this place countless times on the news. Standing here in person felt completely different. Martial artists were everywhere, filling the streets with overwhelming presence. As he walked forward, his eyes scanned the large public notice board. Non-ranked ferocious beast, 300 blue star coins. Tier 1 early stage ferocious beast, 1,000 coins. Tier 1 mid stage, 3,000 coins. Tier 1 late stage, 5,000 coins. Reading the list, Su-hong frowned slightly. The rule beneath it stated, only the left ear of the beast would be accepted as proof. Without it, no reward would be issued. He thought in surprise, so primitive. Nearby, he noticed a man speaking at the counter, asking politely, "Miss, please help me calculate how much these are worth." The man was carrying a sack, clearly filled with severed beast ears. Suddenly, a commotion erupted at the entrance. Someone shouted loudly, "Move aside! Young Master Yi has arrived!" The crowd instinctively parted. Su-hong glanced over, immediately noticing the arrogant figure walking inside. Something about him felt strangely familiar. Whispers spread through the crowd. Someone muttered bitterly, "If it wasn't for his uncle being in charge here, he would have been beaten to death long ago." Another added mockingly, "I heard he got beaten badly a few days ago. Serves him right." A third voice replied curiously, "Really? No wonder he's been keeping such a low profile lately." Su-hong listened silently, then looked up again. His eyes met the man's briefly. Recognition flickered between them. The air grew tense. Su-hong couldn't help thinking, the real danger wasn't only the ferocious beasts in the wilderness, but people as well. He reminded himself firmly to stay cautious no matter what. As he prepared to leave, someone glanced at him and asked curiously, "You look pretty young. Is this your first time going into the wilderness alone?" Su-hong responded shortly, "Yes." Then he continued walking. Behind him, the man shook his head and muttered dismissively, "Another Another ignorant kid rushing toward death. Once inside the wilderness, Su-hong carefully observed his surroundings. The forest was lush, quiet, almost peaceful. Still, he warned himself not to lower his guard. He reminded himself firmly he had to return with results. He couldn't afford to come back empty-handed. 2 hours passed. As he ventured deeper, he drank some water and frowned. He hadn't encountered a single ferocious beast yet. He wondered silently if all the beasts near the outer region had already been cleared out. With that thought, he increased his pace, heading deeper into the forest. Suddenly, his expression changed. Right in front of him stood a massive figure, a ferocious beast. Its body was enormous. Its aura was oppressive. It matched exactly the description from the records. Su-hong instantly recognized it. It was a Tier 1 early-stage ferocious beast, the Azure Moon Wolf. The creature stared at him with bloodshot eyes, baring its fangs as it released a low growl. It was clearly hungry. As the wolf crouched, preparing to pounce, Su-hong inhaled deeply and steadied himself. The battle was about to begin. The wolf lunged forward, claws flashing. Su-hong reacted instantly. He dodged sideways and drove an electrified punch straight into its abdomen. The impact exploded outward, sending the beast flying violently, crashing into a tree. The wolf collapsed, barely able to move. Su-hong stood still, his fists faintly crackling with electricity. He stared at his trembling hands, feeling the lingering surge of power. He couldn't help thinking excitedly. Fighting real ferocious beasts felt far more exhilarating than anything else he had experienced. Taking down a Tier 1 early-stage beast with a single strike made his blood boil with excitement. He wondered eagerly how he would fare against a Tier 1 mid-stage beast. Almost immediately, movement stirred behind him. A massive figure emerged from the shadows. A deep, menacing growl echoed through the forest. A Tier 1 mid-stage ferocious beast. A raging black bear. The beast charged, confident it had found easy prey, but before it could strike, a blur of motion intercepted it. A lightning-infused punch slammed into its body, launching it violently to the ground. Su-hong stood calmly, lowering his fist. He realized quietly just how much stronger he had become. He concluded confidently, as long as he didn't encounter a Tier 2 ferocious beast, he wouldn't be in serious danger. He calculated quickly, another reward secured, 3,000 bounty. At that moment, a system notification appeared. It informed him his accumulated martial value was now sufficient to break through and become a martial artist. Su-hong's heart pounded violently. He had finally reached the threshold, but before he could celebrate, a terrifying roar exploded through the forest. The pressure alone made his skin crawl. His expression hardened instantly. He turned toward the source, eyes narrowing. Whatever produced that roar was far stronger than anything he had faced so far. Curiosity and caution clashed violently in his mind, but curiosity won. He moved carefully toward the sound. Soon, he reached a towering rock formation and climbed it. What he saw stole his breath. Below, a colossal creature coiled among the trees, a massive black-scaled serpent, a Tier 1 late-stage ferocious beast, the black jade python. Its enormous body radiated terrifying aura. Nearby, several martial artists were already fighting it, and losing badly. One after another, they were sent flying helplessly. Su-hong stared at the scene, heart-hammering. This battle was on an entirely different level. Suddenly, danger instincts screamed. He leapt aside instantly. The python's spiked tail smashed down where he had just been standing, shattering the ground violently. The beast hissed angrily. Furious its prey had escaped, Su-hong barely landed before jumping again, narrowly dodging another sweeping strike. Even so, the sheer speed grazed him, sending shock through his body. He realized grimly just how terrifyingly fast this creature was. While steadying himself, he noticed another fighter nearby, gravely injured and unable to move. Ignoring his own pain, Su-hong grabbed the fallen warrior's weapon. He muttered quickly, "I'll borrow this for a moment." Then he turned back toward the beast. The massive python reared up, jaws opening wide, preparing another lethal strike. Su-hong barely rolled away in time, and the battle was far from over. As he regained his footing, his thoughts raced. A Tier 1 late-stage ferocious beast normally required several martial artists working together to take down. Yet, he had already reached the point where he could fight one head-on. He realized realized this was because all of his martial skills had reached the perfected state. Using his perfected void step, he darted around the battlefield, dodging the beast's attacks with blinding speed. Then he launched a counterattack, driving his spear forward with the raging sea spear technique. The blow pierced the beast's hide, drawing a furious roar from its throat. The python thrashed violently, raging from the pain. Su-hong didn't relent. He struck again, his movements fluid and precise, forcing the massive creature into a frenzy. Still, he knew the truth. Its body was enormous, and landing a single decisive blow wouldn't be easy. The difference in size made it difficult to strike a fatal spot. As he maneuvered, he reminded himself to stay patient. He needed to weaken it first and wait for the right opening. Just then, the beast lashed out again, its massive body crashing toward him with overwhelming force. In response, Su-hong unleashed his thunderous fist, perfectly executed. The explosive force collided head-on with the beast's attack, stopping it in its tracks. The shockwave rippled through the air as both figures staggered back. The battle was far from over. Su-hong knew. Once he landed a successful strike, he couldn't afford to linger. He had to immediately pull back, widen the distance, and search for another opening. One mistake would be fatal. That was the price of facing a creature like this. He could feel his breathing growing heavier with every exchange. Fighting this way was exhausting, but it was also the safest option he had. Still, as the battle dragged on, even he could sense his stamina starting to dip. At the same time, the black jade python wasn't faring much better. Its movements were becoming sluggish, its breath rough and uneven. Su-hong realized the beast was also nearing its limit. He thought firmly, just a little more. If I can keep this up, I can finish it. He steadied himself, preparing for the next exchange, fully focused on the beast in front of him. Then, without warning, a dangerous chill ran down his spine. Something was wrong. Before he could react, a violent force slammed into him from the side. The impact sent him flying, his body crashing hard against the ground. His breath was knocked out instantly. He forced himself to roll over, barely managing to block the next blow. Even so, the impact rattled his bones. He realized too late. He had been ambushed. Struggling to his feet, he demanded, "Who's there?" From the shadows, several figures stepped forward. One of them laughed loudly, clearly enjoying the situation. He mocked him and said, "How does it feel to be caught off guard?" Then he added coldly, "Why don't you hand over the black jade python, and maybe we'll spare you." Su-hong's eyes narrowed as he recognized the speaker. His heart sank slightly. Trouble had truly arrived. Su-hong found himself surrounded by a group of goons, people who already had history with him. The leader sneered and said, "When I saw you daring to leave the city alone, I thought you'd definitely die out here." He smirked and continued, "I didn't expect your luck to be this good." He glanced at the injured python nearby and said greedily, "Not only did you survive, you even scavenged a heavily injured black jade python for me." Su-hong analyzed the situation quickly. If they thought he had simply picked it up, then they must have just arrived. He noticed all 5 of them were martial artists. They had the numbers advantage. Fighting them head-on would be suicide. Suddenly, one of the enemies rushed forward, fist raised. He shouted arrogantly, "Didn't you hear young Master Yi? He wants this python." He sneered and added, "Why are you still standing here? Scram already." Seeing this, Su-hong's anger surged. He channeled aura into his hand, his presence turning sharp and oppressive. He said coldly, "You think I was knocked back because I'm weak?" Then he continued, "That was just a sneak attack." He stepped forward and declared, "Do you really think I can't beat you?" Su-hong threw a punch straight at the enemy. Their fists collided, releasing a violent surge of energy that blasted outward. The enemy's expression changed in shock. He thought in terror. Su-hong's power was far stronger than expected, but Su-hong didn't stop. He followed with another punch, smashing directly into the enemy's face, sending him flying across the battlefield, crashing in front of the other goons. The leader narrowed his eyes and muttered, "That's the Vajra fist." Then he smirked and said, "So it really is you, Minotaur." Despite his words, the leader was clearly shaken. Su-hong stared back coldly, recognizing him immediately. He said quietly, "White Fox." White Fox's expression twisted with fury. He shouted angrily, "In front of everyone, you humiliated me!" Then he growled, "You're the first person who ever dared to do that!" His aura flared violently as he barked, "Kill him! All of you! Take him down!" The goons rushed forward with their weapons. Su-hong reacted instantly, grabbing his spear and sprinting deeper into the wilderness. White Fox shouted furiously, "Don't let him escape! Chase him!" The group scattered through the forest, searching every possible hiding place. After a while, one of them said nervously, nervously. "We can't find him? Where did he go?" Another warned cautiously. "The forest ahead is dense. We could get ambushed. Stay alert." One of them scoffed and said, "We've got numbers. Are we really scared of one guy?" Suddenly, a blur flashed behind him at terrifying speed. He turned instinctively. It was Su Hong. Before he could react, Su Hong slammed a devastating punch into him, sending him flying straight toward White Fox. The man collapsed, completely unconscious. White Fox stared in disbelief, wondering how Su Hong could be so fast. The remaining goons immediately formed a defensive circle, terrified of being the next target. One of them stammered, "That's Thunder Rush Fist, the 9-Echo Thunder Rush Fist." Another whispered in horror, "Even Tier 3 martial artists can't perfect that technique." White Fox snapped angrily, "Shut up!" Inside, he was already panicking. He thought frantically, perfected Vajra Fist and perfected Thunder Rush Fist shouldn't be possible. What he didn't know was that Su Hong was hiding silently in a tree above them, watching everything. To him, they looked like rats scrambling, while a predator stalked them patiently. He thought calmly, if he hadn't just exhausted so much vitality fighting the python, he could crush them head on. For now, he had to hunt them one by one. He suddenly threw his spear. The weapon landed violently nearby, startling the group. As they turned toward the spear, Su Hong appeared instantly, grabbing one of them and striking. After the attack, he vanished again into the forest. The remaining goons were now completely terrified. One of them said desperately, "Young Master Yi, he's too strong. We should retreat." White Fox's pride flared violently. He shouted angrily, "Run! That's a joke!" Then he declared, "I will kill Su Hong today." Meanwhile, Su Hong moved around them at incredible speed. They couldn't track him, couldn't even see him clearly. Suddenly, he rushed past them again. White Fox started to speak, but another goon was grabbed instantly, slammed brutally into the ground, and left unconscious. Su Hong disappeared once more. White Fox's fear deepened, mixing with growing rage. He thought bitterly. Only a few days had passed, yet this kid had become monstrously stronger. Suddenly, Su Hong flashed behind him. White Fox spun around instantly, but saw nothing. He cursed loudly and said, "There's no way Su Hong could—" Before he could finish, Su Hong appeared behind him again. Su Hong thought coldly. It was finally his turn. White Fox reacted instantly, gathering aura into his finger. He shouted, "Void-breaking finger!" Su Hong dodged immediately, leaping forward. Behind him, the tree that took the attack exploded into splinters, completely destroyed. White Fox attacked again and again, firing beam-like strikes while shouting, "Void-breaking finger!" But no matter how many times he attacked, Su Hong dodged every single strike effortlessly. While evading, Su Hong analyzed the technique. He thought with interest. The power was incredible. The grade of this martial skill definitely wasn't low. He wondered silently, could it be a bank-level technique? He smirked faintly. Then he thought calmly. He might want to add something like this to his own skill set someday. However, the man standing before him, whose finger glowed with a chilling blue aura, was far from calm. His face twisted with rage. He thought bitterly. That stinking brat had already burned his face into his memory. He swore viciously, "If Su Hong dares to hurt me, once I return, I will wipe out his entire family." The moment Su Hong heard those words, they echoed violently inside his mind. His expression froze. Then, fury exploded inside him, threatening his family and was something he would never accept. He repeated the words in disbelief, then vanished forward in a swift dodging motion, charging straight toward White Fox. White Fox sneered arrogantly and said, "Do you even know who I am?" He continued proudly, "My uncle is the supervisor of the martial artist base, and my father is someone extremely important." Before he could finish, Su Hong was already standing right behind him. A terrifying aura pressed down like a collapsing mountain. For a moment, Su Hong said nothing. His fist gathered terrifying power, his silence more suffocating than words. Then he spoke coldly and said, "I preferred how you looked earlier, acting arrogant and high above everyone else." He stepped closer and added, "This terrified version of you doesn't suit you." His voice dropped lower as he finished. "But I'm still going to enjoy this." His fist shot forward. The punch smashed directly into White Fox's face. The impact was devastating. White Fox's body was launched violently through the forest, smashing through trees, before crashing heavily into the ground. Smoke and dust exploded into the air. When the smoke finally cleared, Su-hong walked toward him slowly, his face filled with murderous fury, a crimson aura swirling around his body. He said coldly, "You should never have used my family to threaten me." White Fox lay on the ground, coughing blood, his body trembling from the damage. He stared in disbelief and asked weakly, "Why are you this strong?" He shouted in desperation, "This is impossible! You're not even a martial artist!" His voice cracked as he demanded, "What are you?" Behind him, the massive black jade python lifted its head, locking its cold gaze onto White Fox. Drawn by his voice, White Fox suddenly felt a terrifying chill. Slowly, he turned around. His eyes widened in horror. The python's tail lashed forward, while its massive jaws opened wide. Moments later, White Fox disappeared beneath its attack. After dealing with him, the python shifted its full attention toward Su-hong. Su-hong's expression hardened. He realized he had spent too long fighting the goons. The python had recovered its stamina. Now, it was ready for another battle, and this time, it held the advantage. Elsewhere, the remaining goons groaned in pain, furious and humiliated. One of them cursed angrily, "That brat is completely insane." Another asked nervously, "Where's young Master Yi? Did he finish that kid off?" Suddenly, their expressions froze. They saw Su-hong sprinting straight toward them again. They immediately prepared for battle. One shouted angrily, "That brat finally showed himself!" Another roared, "This time, I won't spare him." Su-hong didn't even glance at them. He ran straight forward and said calmly, "Move or die." A second later, they understood why. Behind him, the giant python burst through the forest, radiating overwhelming fury. The group froze speechless. The python lunged toward Su-hong. Su-hong leapt aside instantly, spear in hand, narrowly dodging the strike. One unlucky martial artist reacted too slowly. The python devoured him instantly. A notification appeared. Opponent martial artist indirectly eliminated, 30 martial value gained. Another attack followed. Another victim fell. Opponent martial artist indirectly eliminated, 30 martial value gained. Su-hong blinked in slight surprise. He thought he never expected to gain martial value this way, but the python attacked again before he could think further. Su-hong leapt upward, dodging the sweeping tail once more. The python adapted quickly, using its massive body to trap him from multiple angles. Still, Su-hong continued moving, dodging relentlessly. As he fought and ran, Su-hong suddenly realized something shocking. After all these battles, his martial value had already reached the breakthrough threshold. He dashed rapidly between trees, frustrating the python further. No matter how fiercely it attacked, it couldn't catch him. While running, Su-hong thought urgently, if only he could find a safe place to break through. Then, suddenly, he spotted a small cave ahead. His eyes lit up. He muttered, "Perfect." He sprinted straight toward it. The python chased closely behind. Just as it prepared to strike, Su-hong dove into the cave. The python tried to follow, but its massive body became stuck at the entrance. It roared violently in frustration. Inside, Su-hong calmly opened his system panel. Name, Su-hong Vitality, 96 Spirit, 23, Physique, Mortal Body, 3% Skills, Raging Sea Spear, Perfect Thunder Rush Fist, Perfect Vajra Fist, Perfect Floating Light Palm, Perfect Void Step, Perfect Martial Value, 504. Without hesitation, he began tapping the system repeatedly. He whispered urgently, "Faster, faster." He poured everything into Vitality. Heat surged through his body, like molten magma replacing his blood. Soon, Vitality reached 100. Even the python outside sensed the terrifying change, becoming restless. A notification appeared. Breakthrough successful. Tier 1, Martial Artist achieved. Su-hong clenched his fists, aura exploding around him. He stared at the python and said calmly, "Now, it's my turn." For the first time, the python felt fear. It tried to retreat, but Su-hong gave it no chance. He launched forward, delivering an overwhelming punch. Trapped inside the cave entrance, the python couldn't escape. The blow smashed into it, launching its massive body through the air. Su-hong followed immediately. He leapt onto its tail, using it as footing, then unleashed a relentless Vajra Fist barrage. Punch after punch crashed down, slamming the creature into the ground. Smoke filled the battlefield. When it cleared, Su Hong stood atop the defeated python, victorious. A notification appeared. Martial value increased by 92. Su Hong exhaled slowly and said, "Even injured, that beast was still dangerous." Then he muttered thoughtfully, "But now, I can face it head on." He soon frowned slightly and said, "Wait, how am I supposed to claim the reward?" He remembered the rule about cutting off the left ear, then sighed. He said dryly, "Snakes don't have ears." Great. After thinking briefly, he decided to ignore it and head back. As he left, the forest fell silent. Only destruction remained. Passing the fallen goons, he glanced at them coldly and said, "You got off easy." While walking, he suddenly remembered something. He thought about White Fox's technique. Soon, he located the skill manual. He murmured with interest, "Void-breaking finger." He smiled faintly and decided to study it. He remained near the cave, lighting a fire, sitting beside the python's corpse. After memorizing the introduction, he activated the system. Soon, a clone appeared, attacking him repeatedly using void-breaking finger. During the intense training, his mastery climbed rapidly. 51%, 63%, 77%, 93%. Soon, the technique entered the basic realm. Su Hong coughed weakly, exhaustion evident. He said hoarsely, "As expected, of a B-rank martial skill." He added, "Even reaching the basic realm is brutal on the body." 3 days later, Su Hong stood before a massive roaring bear. Using void-breaking finger, he fought head-on, eventually killing it. After the battle, he smiled and said, "Perfect realm, achieved." A notification confirmed it. Void-breaking finger, perfect mastery. Later, at the martial artist base, a massive crowd gathered. Someone shouted in shock, 230,000 total? Another exclaimed, "The Thunder Squad is terrifying." One added, "That's months of hunting worth." Another gasped, "Not a single non-ranked beast, all tier 1, even high stage ones." The receptionist trembled while announcing, 72 tier 1 early stage, 83 middle stage, 17 late stage. Total reward, 46,000 blue star coins. Standing quietly, Su Hong sighed internally. He thought uneasily. He might have hunted far too many beasts. He muttered inwardly, if he had known, he would have held back. Now, he could only hope this didn't attract unnecessary trouble. Around him, the entire crowd erupted into chaos, completely stunned by the numbers. The scene opens with chaos swallowing the martial artist base. Panic spreads like wildfire as warriors rush forward, shouting that the base has been attacked. Confusion floods the crowd. With so many high-level martial artists guarding the area, an attack should have been impossible. Yet the impossible has already happened. Then, silence begins to spread. A figure slowly steps forward. First, a pair of hands appears, followed by a cold, commanding presence. It's Yiki, the overseer of the base, and Yong's uncle. Without hesitation, Yiki issues a ruthless order. The entire base is to be sealed. No one enters, no one leaves, not even a fly is allowed to escape. His subordinates obey instantly. Moments later, another supervisor arrives and demands answers. Yiki delivers the news without emotion. Yong and the 4 martial artists who accompanied him are dead. The crowd freezes. Shock ripples through the warriors as whispers begin spreading. Some express disbelief that Yong could actually be killed. Others, however, secretly celebrate his death, remembering the countless times he abused his power and robbed those weaker than him. But the situation quickly grows darker. Yiki reveals that a B-rank martial skill carried by Yong has disappeared and immediately orders a full search of every martial artist inside the base. No one is allowed to leave until the culprit is found. Among the crowd stands Su Hong. On the surface, he remains calm, but deep inside, tension slowly tightens around his chest. The corpses clearly show signs of being killed by a giant python, meaning suspicion shouldn't fall on him. Yet as the investigation continues, the atmosphere begins shifting. Warriors glance toward him. Whispers follow his movements, and then it happens. Yiki himself begins walking directly toward Su Hong. His voice sounds polite, almost respectful. He praises Su Hong for single-handedly instantly killing ferocious beasts worth over 400,000 credits. But the crimson aura radiating from his body tells the real story. Yiki is furious, and Su Hong realizes something terrifying. This man may already suspect him. Still, Su Hong shows no fear. In fact, a dangerous thought crosses his mind. If things truly escalate, could he defeat Yiki? Before the tension can settle, another figure steps forward, Yong's father. He repeats the rumors about Su Hong's achievements, sounding impressed, until a woman beside him tears the praise apart. She mocks Su Hong's appearance and declares it impossible for someone at his level to achieve such feats. She accuses him of scavenging Yong's kills and immediately orders his search. Two massive warriors step forward, flames gathering in their hands. They warn Su Hong not to resist, but in the next heartbeat, everything changes. A spear suddenly appears, aimed directly at one warrior's skull. No one saw Su Hong move. The warrior freezes in terror. Su Hong calmly states his identity as a student of Star City High's #1 academy, a place protected by a notoriously ruthless principal. The tension instantly shifts. Yong's father hesitates. If Su Hong truly is a genius, offending him could create powerful enemies. But if he's lying, letting him go would be unacceptable. Choosing caution, he explains that his nephew was murdered and their family's secret technique stolen. He requests cooperation, offering 10,000 credits as compensation. Su Hong immediately counters, 30,000. The bold demand shocks everyone, yet after a brief silence, the man agrees. The search begins. Every item is inspected, every pocket checked. Su Hong watches calmly, knowing that he already erased every trace of evidence. Moments later, the result is announced. Nothing found. True to his word, Yong's father pays Su Hong and allows him to leave. As Su Hong walks away, relief washes over him. One small mistake today, and he would have died alongside Yong. But Su Hong has no time to relax. He already has his next objective. He needs to become stronger, fast. Later, inside the underground hotel of the martial artist base, Su Hong finally checks his system status. The result surprises even him. 534 martial points, an enormous amount earned through relentless training and hunting. His stats reveal overwhelming progress. Multiple martial techniques have reached perfection. His vitality already surpasses the requirement for rank 1 early stage. But Su Hong wants more, much more. He calculates the cost of reaching the next stage and begins investing his points. First, spirit. The numbers rise steadily, yet he feels almost nothing. Then, he upgrades his mortal frame. This time, the transformation is immediate. Power surges through his muscles. His body grows denser, stronger, more dangerous. He continues upgrading until his points are nearly exhausted, then pours everything else into vitality. Suddenly, a violent crimson aura explodes around him. Energy floods his veins like a raging storm. His body swells with terrifying power before slowly stabilizing. When the transformation ends, Su Hong exhales in relief. If anyone had witnessed that monstrous form, questions he couldn't answer would have followed. 1 hour later, Su Hong arrives at the Star City Martial Artist Association, a massive complex where warriors either rise or have their dreams shattered forever. At reception, he calmly registers for the Rank 1 assessment. The staff member guiding him explains the requirements. Vitality must exceed 100. Combat power must surpass 1,000. Simple rules, but rules that destroy countless hopeful warriors every year. Inside the testing hall, the atmosphere is tense. Young talents gather, some arrogant, some nervous, all desperate to prove themselves. An announcement suddenly echoes through the hall. A candidate named Panga fails, missing the requirement by only a few points. The disappointment is crushing. Moments later, another warrior, Li Ming, passes the vitality test and delivers a devastating punch, scoring 1,763 combat power, nearly reaching mid-stage rank 1 strength. The crowd erupts in admiration. Su Hong watches quietly, calculating, analyzing, preparing. Then his name is called. He steps forward. Confidence radiates from him, but nearby competitors sneer, believing he's too young to stand among them. That confidence lasts only seconds, because when the vitality scanner activates, the entire hall explodes into chaos. Shock spreads like wildfire. Some believe the machine is broken,